thumbnail says, boys and girls, the BRM is getting a new turbo. Clearly, today's YouTube video is all about the elephant in the room, the 1756. Performance CDI heard that the old girl, the old BRM stock turbo, well, she kicked the bucket. She no longer runs. So this car was not only smoking, but it was making absolutely no power. And I was fearing for the engine, but we did a compression test and we found out she was good. So Performance CDI sent over the 1756 absolute beauty, absolute beast. That wheel is insane. Not only does it look absolutely insane, it directly bolts up to everything stock. Even the housing for the discharge pipe, exactly the same. Everything is the exact same. This thing is meant to bolt off from the old one and bolt onto the new one. The old turbo is old technology. The wastegate, everything is seized up in mine. The vanes are probably slow. The efficiency of the engine with the old turbo is... So with this, it's new technology, it's similar in size, and it directly bolts right up, which is the best part. And knowing that's about to go in my car, and my car's actually gonna drive, and it's not just gonna sputter and smoke and just be this big pile of junk, is a great feeling. Huge shout out, and I mean absolutely huge, massive shout out to Performance CDI for sending me this. Before I dive any deeper into the car and start ripping this thing apart, if you guys aren't subscribed and you're enjoying the video so far, make sure you smash the subscribe button. This car, it's about to get way more crazy this year. I want it to be clean. I want to be proud of it, and I'm going to do all that. So follow along. Let's get this thing together. Let's get this thing performing, and let's make more videos. I skipped the boring part. It's on jack stands. Sadly, on these BRMs, the intake is on top of the turbo, and sometimes taking out the intake and then the turbo at the top side is easier, but it's easy enough to have it in the air and get the wheel off and just have more access. We got options, luckily, with this car. Like the firewall base comes out here, the cowl comes out. On the newer cars, you have this whole metal cowl portion at the top here, and it comes up and it hangs over and it actually gives you no room to do a topside turbo removal. So we have options on this car, which is nice. So this turbo is much more accessible than usual, but look how small and sad that little wheel is compared to... Just got the O2 sensor out, and I was fighting with it for the longest time with a 22 mil. And I realized I have a crow's footer. I think that's what these are called. I got these at a garage sale for like $3. It's probably from like the 70s. They're super old, but besides the point, if you ever find yourself in a pickle, just know a crow's foot's gonna get you out. Looks funny, but save the day. O2 sensor while it's out. Now the O2 sensor is clean. If you're gonna have it out, you may as well clean it. I just got out from underneath the car where I discovered that there's an unbelievable amount of visibility once you remove the axle. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove the axle. And while it's up in the air, I got a screwdriver in the rotor, which is gonna keep the rotor from rotating. I guess I found a 20-year-old oil leak. Look at that, that's like cement. And then I come up here to the axle, and I've got my double CV sandwich going on to push out the CV axle, and the turbo's clearly leaking oil onto that. And then we come back here, and it's like nice to know I'm gonna be replacing the turbo, so the oil leak's gonna stop. And you can see there was actually thought and measuring going on when I did the CV stack, because the splines are exactly where they would be OEM. And I'm gonna leave that screwdriver in there, so when I take off the axle from the inside, like so, one bolt removed. Screwdriver kept everything from spinning. All it takes is some pry bars, some screwdrivers, the exhaust manifold, screwdriver in the hole.
She asked me where I get my talented fingers from.
Back home, it's a whole nother day. It's already dark outside, but that's just how these videos go sometimes. You got to get to them another day. The intake I took off just so I can get to these turbo bolts a little bit easier, and as you can see, that intake is not entirely clogged, but it's definitely not efficient, especially up here on the rim. And if that were to even just fall right down in there, that stuff just gets eaten up by the motor, or it could, I don't know if it could blow it up, but yeah, I don't want that in there. So I'm gonna clean up the edges. And yes, if you were wondering, working on a 20-year-old TDI is dirty, very dirty. Mini update. I took the torch and I just slightly put it by the intake. And that's all old carbon. I've seen cars before be completely plugged up to the point where there's literally, I'm not even kidding you, you couldn't even stick your pinky into the hole. It gets so plugged up. But those are the cars that are like daily driven by old people and they never see over 35 miles an hour. So this for having 226,000 miles is pretty good. POV or 20-year-old TDI needs a little bit of an intake cleaning. And I mean, just a little bit, you know, just a tiny little bit. I almost just shattered the wind. Oh my God, I did shatter the windshield way worse. Long story short, the extension that I had flew up when the bolt broke loose. It flew up, hit this, hit the windshield, cracked the windshield even more, but I got it undone. So I got 3 of the 8 exhaust studs out so far. About to go into number 4, just put WD-40 on it. Also just put the socket itself on there. I'm gonna put the ratchet on. These have to be the easiest exhaust studs I've ever touched in my entire life. Also bolts were missing from underneath there. So someone's already either done something in there or the turbo's already failed once, but it's super weird. Overall, someone's been in here, that's what it looks like, and they didn't torque the studs down to spec, but no exhaust leaks. And let's see if I can get this off and show you how we're on. This is 2 fingers on the ratchet. Like, what is that, 12 foot-pounds? Like, I don't even know who put this together. Okay. Well, I got heat some stuff up. Red hot, just how we like it. Let the thing expand so I can get it off. I'm not gonna be using this turbo feed line, so I really could just cut it, but I'm not trying to be a hack right now. Although I really do wanna be. I really do want to be a hack. I could just snip it real quick, make my night go much faster. I want to say also, I got 7 of the bolts out. I didn't get the 8th bolt out of the turbo manifold because, well, I need something to give me some strength for when I'm getting that turbo drain off. But after that, I can just pluck this thing out, I think. All right, well, I made a decision and we're gonna cut this. Because the line, it was spinning, but the only problem is it twisted. So like, even if this ever was to work, again, it's twisted, so I need to go to the dealer and get another one, but I don't need it because I got a different feed, so. This thing like refuses to snap. Yeah, oh my God, yeah, I'll show you. Okay, so as you can see, I did get it loose, but when these 2 together, it just was binding too much, and it happens. Sometimes they internally seize, but now I can take the turbo out. This doesn't really matter, but that's out of the way, so now I can undo the last turbo bolt and do the drain and then rip this thing out. So I got the stock turbo out. And the new turbo looks much nicer. I haven't gotten the chance to clean my face yet, so just ignore the fact that my face is completely filthy, but I worked hard for this. So we got the stock turbo out. It didn't come out easy, but it came out. It was a bit of a fight. Sometimes it takes long, sometimes it just comes out in 2 seconds. But for me today, it came out in just under 4 or 5 hours. But man, these turbos look crazy next to each other. I don't even know what size this turbo inducer is, but I know the inducer, exducer on this turbo is. This turbo wasn't even making any power. It wasn't making any boost. It was literally, this car was running like it was NA, super inefficient. Now we're gonna be able to utilize this wheel fully. The feed on the old turbo, like you guys saw, it got messed up, but the feed on the new turbo, it's all upgraded and it's totally different than that. So it's all bolt up turbo with a different feed. I don't know why they go with a different feed here, but I'd imagine there's good reason. And you don't have to take off anything besides the rubber hose that's gonna slide over this instead of having, you know, deal with this seized up nonsense. I didn't film it, but I just got the turbo drain off of the old turbo. I heated the 1 bolt up and hit it with WD-40 because I was like worried that it might not come out and it was seized, but it came right out. So I was like, oh, let me just hit it with the impact on the 2nd bolt, and it like backed right out. It was like almost hand tight. So when you're not motivated, think of this view. This can motivate you. Only thing I'm gonna do now is put the turbo drain onto the new turbo. And then the only thing I'm worried about going back in is the turbo feed, because I have to go snake that old line out from underneath all this stuff. But besides that, it's going awesome right now. So this is the oil feed line that I'm worried about, but I'm not really worried about it. I just don't know the proper wording to say for it. But oh yeah, morning coffee. That's where it feeds onto the block, that silver one right there. Got to undo that, and then this whole thing just snakes out from underneath. But running the new one's gonna be super easy because, well, it's a braided line, so it flexes and stuff. It's not just a hard line I have to like feed around stuff. But honestly, I'm a little bit cautious about doing this, but if you're watching this, just know you can do it as well. Oh my gosh, Dude, that came off so easy. That came off so easy. That came off so easy. So I cut the turbo feed off of the block because I got to snake it out of there. I may as well take all the bends out of it. And I realized that this is the end that's going to go on the block. This is an adapter that goes onto the oil filter housing. So I got to take the one that's currently on there off so it fits this. And then this feeds into this. And then this soft hose is what feeds to the turbo. Right into this. A lot of this and that, but I got an understanding of it now. This feed tap line came out, probably had only 20 foot-pounds holding it in. Everything on this car has gone so smooth so far. Oh my God. The supplied fitting for the braided line has the same exact thread size. So I'm gonna send it back in, and then this will be able to adapt to the braided line. Ooh, that feed line going in softly. It's actually crazy how smoothly that just went on. I'm so happy. Like, if that got stuck or seized, this would have been a 5-hour job, but that was 6 minutes with me filming. The hand filming is twice as bad, but we won't talk about that. What we will talk about is this guy. I chopped him there. Undid these 2 hose clamps to go to the block. I don't know where the second one went. Probably slid out somewhere in there, but yeah, that's out. Can you tell that my engine was leaking oil at some point? Not from the hard line, but probably from the valve cover gasket that I just replaced. And now it's not leaking. If anyone has a BRM valve cover, please let me know because mine's cracked. I'm about to throw the hard line in, and right before I throw it in, I wanted to show you guys that I put some wire loom around the side of it because I'm gonna be running this along the block where the old hard line went, and the old hard line was smooth, but the old hard line was also sitting next to a bunch of wire looms. So I thought it would only be right to at least put this much on there so it won't chafe anything and cause me some wiring issues in the future. And to make it even more legit, we got the wire loom handcuffs. We've got the braided feed line run on attempt number 2, and I say attempt number 2 because I had it underneath this bracket at first, and it kinked the line. You can kind of see it was a little bit kinked, but I straightened it back out. I got the feed line off, put it back on, everything is good. And it's funny because the wire loom that I put on it to protect the other wires isn't really doing its job for the other wires, but it's protecting the actual feed line from this metal bracket that it's running over. So it is protecting it instead of it protecting something else, which is awesome. It's still protecting wires. It's just doing 2 jobs at once when I only intended it to do 1 job at once. We're gonna call that a W. I put the turbo drain on outside of the car because putting it in when it's in the car and it's just hanging over your head, it's doable, but it's not fun and it's not easy because there's other things underneath the turbo. So although I should have just, left you guys with that clip, I did just snug these down with the wrench. I'm not that much of a hack. I got the old exhaust gasket out. This thing's actually pretty sick. It's got a little heat shield on it for the timing belt. The one that I got, it's probably not OEM because it doesn't have that, but that's pretty interesting. Wow, this is actually really wild. This is the gasket kit that Performance TDI supplied me with, and look at all the stuff in here. You got the turbo drain, you got all the turbo feed, copper washers, you got the exhaust gaskets. You've literally got everything in here. I've actually never seen a kit this nice, and Performance TDI is actually the guys who sent me this whole turbo setup. They sent me a 4-bar map sensor, they sent me head studs, they sent me a lot of stuff that I still have to do an install on, but today's video is just all about the turbo, so this is really nice. And don't forget, if you guys want this exact setup, hit Performance TDI up and tell them that I sent you. Wow, dude, I just noticed this. They even branded the exhaust gasket. If you guys want to send them an email or a phone call, there's that. This packaging is amazing. I'm so stoked for this. Thank you, Performance TDI. So I got the turbo fed through the bottom, and I'm gonna just pull it through the top. Yes, dude. Yes. I got the turbo installed. It's all bolted up, nice and tight. So I'm gonna put this on there, put the turbo line feed on there, and the turbo will have oil feed, and the drain is hooked up at the bottom as well. Just like that, I got the discharge pipe on there, I got the quick release clamp on there, and I got the hose clamp mating that up to the charge pipe, which then runs to the intercooler. Throw the charge pipe back in. Got a lot of stuff back together. Not all the hoses are hooked up. The battery's not hooked up yet, but one of the things I don't want to forget to do is unhook this crank sensor. It spins off, which is really nice. It's super simple. And now the car won't start, so I can prime the turbo. Sometimes people put oil in the turbo, but it just drains right out through the drain, so I may as well just crank it over using the engine's oil pump to feed the turbo before we start it. Alrighty. Key was left in here from last time. I was gonna dry crank it a couple times. Good enough for me. All right, gonna plug this back in. It's tight. I saw no leaks. Let's turn this thing over. Give her a rest. Sounds pretty sick. Oh no, bro, we sprung a leak straight from, dude, no way. The oil line. I tightened that up, but that came like that, and I never even oh my God. It's all right, though. We got the Mountain Dew Classic coming to... Should I use this shirt? Somebody let me know if this is valuable. I'll use another shirt. Oh, thankfully it didn't hit my carpet, but man, that sucks. That sucks so bad. Look at all underneath there. That sucks. So that little guy in the center of the screen is a turbo feed line, and that's actually leaking as well. And I already made one of the tools. I got to make another one because I lost it. I dropped it. I couldn't find it. But basically, I cut this down, put a 1/4 inch on it, and I've been tightening it down slowly. So hopefully that feed stops leaking. But I got the other one patched up. Top of the turbo feed is leaking, but I didn't check them. I didn't check them. So always check all your feeds, all your lines. And that's why we're still in the jack stands. It's just a part of the game. So this is my little T40 tool. There it is, my 1/4 inch wrench. Barely sticks out. Nothing up by the head, so I can fit it in that little spot. We're gonna tighten it. So I got my intake back on. I got all the vac hoses hooked up, and then obviously the elephant in the room is I took the old air filter from my Mark 6 and I put it on this car right now. K&N sent me a new filter last week for that car, and I'm gonna hit them up in the morning to get another one because this actually looks so good. Maybe I'll get the longer version. That goes crazy. It's the next day. The car's all wrapped up. I figured I'd leave it on the jack stands. I was gonna drive it outside and give you guys like an unveil, but honestly, we got a lot of stuff to do on this car, like off camera, get underneath, do some rust repair and stuff like that. So I'm gonna end the video here. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm excited to see you guys follow the journey. We literally just hit 150,000 subscribers, which is nuts. If you're into TDIs, or if you're not even into TDIs, not even into cars, but feel like you're kind of getting into it and you're enjoying the content, subscribe, like the video if you haven't already. And everybody who's been subscribed, thank you so much. We hit 150,000 subscribers recently, and it's super humbling, and I'm just so stoked to see where the channel goes. As always, I want to let you guys know that I appreciate you. Your build is unique to you, and don't let anyone put you down. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.